What's up, Pack fans? Ramey here. Wolfpack getting ready to go to Washington State in Mountain West play. The Pack, a bit of a rough patch of late. Lost 2 out of 3 at home against San Jose State. Hard-fought ball games. Probably could have won 2, but got away with Game 3 on Sunday with a run rule win. Then lost in extra innings on Monday to visiting San Francisco. Again, a game that was back and forth. Nevada had leads. Nevada came back to force extra innings, but lost 11-8 in 10. So Nevada goes on the road, but as I discussed with skipper Jake McKinley, a lot of the fundamentals are there for the Pack. They're not playing poorly, and halfway through the conference season, they're right in the thick of it. Jake McKinley, I have a thought right now, and that is Nevada is not playing particularly poor baseball. I don't think you guys are playing poorly. You've been on the wrong end of some rough decisions of late. Is that a distinction without a difference, or is there something to that?
Yeah, I think for the most part, that's probably true. There's obviously some plays we wish we could have back, and there's some opportunities we wish we could have back. But I think we're doing a lot of things well that should be indicative of this turning around. So I would agree with that sentiment for the most part.
You guys are halfway through the conference season. You're 8-7, and if you start to catalog, you're 8-7 and 2 games out of first place. And if you start to catalog kind of all the adversity that you guys have already had to endure, I think once you get away from kind of the day-to-day disappointments, or in the case of Michael Ball, just kind of the shock of it, I think you guys are all right. I think you're in a pretty good position.
Yeah, it's I think there's a great story that is a parallel to what you were just talking about. For anybody that watched the Masters, you saw Rory McIlroy miss a very, very makeable putt to win the Masters, which allowed a sudden death playoff between he and Rose. I think an interesting part of that is his caddy said to him, "Hey, if I would have told you before the Masters started that you would force a sudden death playoff to win this thing, you would have taken the deal. So you got to let go of that putt, and you got to move on to your next shot." And I think it's like very similar to us in the sense that, like, if you would have told me at the beginning of the season, hey, at the halfway mark, you're going to be tied for second place, you're going to be 2 games out of first, I would have taken the deal, and every single player in our locker room would have taken that deal. So it's really easy to get caught up in sort of like recency bias and see how things have gone for the last 10 games or whatever, and build a narrative that doesn't honor the overall body of work. So I think it's important we keep a good perspective about this deal, and I think the rest of the conference is probably fighting for the same thing. Like, everything is so bunched up right now, and to your point, we're in a great spot right now, and we can let people outside the walls be as negative as they want, but inside our walls, we're not going to let that in.
You and I were talking before the game on Sunday when you mentioned that Ball was out, and probably for a while, maybe for the rest of the year. And then you started to kind of catalog all the injury things that you guys have endured going back to kind of the off season, right? Like Peyton Dixon was supposed to be your Friday guy, for example. And it is kind of, I mean, I'm not saying you have to state it for the record so we all understand the context of the season, but at the same time, you guys have had a fair amount of rough breaks on the injury front, and I don't get that vibe from your team, like you're a snake bit team.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, and I may have said this the other day on the show, but when you're in the off season, every single team, they'll have team meetings, they'll have mental training exercises that they do, and the one commonality is every team is like, hey, adversity's coming. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And you kind of like come to this agreement on, like, okay, well, when it comes, here's how we're going to respond to it. And I don't think most teams do what they say they're going to do when adversity really comes, because like it's different to hypothetically think about it than actually deal with it. Everybody actually deals with it in this season. Every single team in the country, every single team in the big leagues deals with it. I think the uncommon thing is doing what you said you were going to do. So I'm proud of the group. I think that they've done exactly what they said they were going to do. Like, they were going to stick together. We were going to focus on the next pitch, and we were going to treat every day like it's day one. And I've honored to them like how hard this has been. I get that. And I think the rest of the league is in the same boat that like I think this thing's going to come down to whoever can just like get to the next day. When you're so bunched up like that, I really think that's what it comes down to. I'm sure every single team in this league feels that they've lost some games they should have won. I'm sure every team in this league feels that maybe they've gotten a game they probably shouldn't have gotten. So there's 15 games left in conference to, you know, exercise those things we talk about doing. And I'm confident this group will do it. It's an older group, it's a positive group. So to your point, there's not a snake bitten vibe in the locker room. It's kind of a next man up. And, nobody was more supportive on the bench on Sunday than Mike Ball. So, if he has a different role to serve, he's going to do it at a high level.
I mean, that is one thing I've noticed. I mean, you and I chat before the game, and some of those conversations have come after devastating losses, like after game 2 against the Spartans. And guys are playing frisbee, guys are smiling, going doing their warm-ups. There are no long faces. And I think that speaks to the culture that you have grown. That guys are genuinely excited to take the next day. Because that's not every team.
Yeah, and I appreciate that sentiment because that's important to me. Like I tell these guys in recruiting, student athlete experience and player development. Those are the things that I care about. I don't talk about winning and losing. I think that gets messy. I don't talk about playing time in the recruiting process. I talk about your experience here and player development. And I think it's really easy when you have a game that you don't win, that you take away the frisbee or you don't let guys play hacky sack. You know what I mean? Those types of things. And I think a younger version of me probably would have done that. But it's like those aren't the reason that you're losing. So like what's important to me is that they show up every day and it's something that they look forward to, whether it's a game or a practice or weights or whatever we have going on, that they're genuinely looking forward to all things baseball and they're committed to getting better at their craft. So I do think that has to be set from the coaching staff. I think we've done a good job of that. Not perfect. I've had frustrations, but I think it's been set from the staff like, hey, at the end of the day, we're all trying to win. Like everybody wants the same thing when you get to the field, but that's not the only barometer of success inside of a culture. And I think if you take care of those things that are controllable, the wins will come. That part will take care of itself. But sometimes we get so obsessed with the result at the end of the game that we forget about some pretty important things that maybe the public doesn't see. And so we're just really committed to not losing sight of those things. And we're very trusting that we're in a good spot and we can make a run at this thing.
I mean, also just in a sense, if you're recruiting correctly or to your values, you're going to recruit guys that care about winning without you having to remind them that they need to be mad when they lose.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And we've been fortunate, like as we've continued to build the program, I think a lot of the players come from programs that have a history of winning. And, you can't quantify it, but knowing how to win it's a real skill. I believe that. I think we have a lot of guys that know how to win. And I think we also have a lot of guys that know how to get through a rut. So we're really confident in the personnel, and it's personnel for the most part that we've handpicked to be here, and we believe in them, and we think we'll be just fine.
Okay, so real quick, so Michael Ball, I think you were saying he was getting an exam or an MRI. What's his status now, or do you have any definitive answers on him?
Listed as questionable, kind of indefinitely moving forward.
Got it.
Coach Mike for 3 years. I'd bet the over on him getting on the field sooner rather than later. He'll do anything he can to get on the field.
That's awesome. But what's also been awesome is the way your team has responded. Waller from center to third base, where he hasn't played this year, and Hirata thrust into the breach. Mecho thrust into the breach. Yamaguchi playing second base, right, which he hasn't done even in high school. Doyle throwing dudes out from center field. I mean, I've been so impressed with his range in right field. I'm actually kind of thrilled to see Doyle in center field, and he threw somebody out against San Francisco yesterday. So was that yesterday? Sorry, the games are rolling together, Skip.
It was.
Yeah. But I feel like your team has responded with such kind of a happy warrior mentality. Like, oh, we're all going to play different positions today and we're all going to be excited about it and we're going to execute.
And that's something they talk about doing, every sport again that you talk about next man up. Everybody does it.
Sure.
And I'm diehard New York Jets fan. My dad and I are huge Jets fans, and they've had like quarterback problems for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that mentality of like next man up is something that, and I don't know what's going on in the walls there, but maybe something they've lacked. It was kind of like Aaron Rodgers got hurt one series into the season last year, and like the vibe is like the season's over. And that's tough to overcome when that's public perception inside the locker room. I'm sure there was a component of that. So again, I talked about it earlier, like every team and every sport at every level is going to talk to their athletes about adversity. And like, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And this is how we're committed to handling it. And then something happens that is catastrophic to your team's talent level. And it's kind of like, oh, shoot, well, we can't overcome this. That's why I'm proud of the group. Like, yeah, injuries suck. They're part of the profession. But I think the group's done a really good job with like that next man up mentality that everybody talks about and dealing with adversity like everybody talks about. And that right there is, I think, the thing that will help carry us through the finish line.
All right. So your next opportunity, 3 at Washington State, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, up in the Palouse. I think it's only 3 series where you play home and away. You swept the Cougars here. You played very well, maybe your best ball of the season against Washington State in Reno a couple weeks ago. Does that give you guys some confidence taking this on the road?
I think somewhat, but it's really important that we just treat this like it's the next game and we're playing against the baseball. And we've just got to do our jobs. We've got to throw strikes, got to play defense, got to put pressure on the defense. And that doesn't matter who your opponent is. I will say Washington State, I think, has been playing better lately themselves. So I think it's going to be a tough series. I think they're well coached and they'll be ready to go. So, like anything else, it's just important that we go out there and play it almost like it's a faceless opponent. We're just trying to compete against the ball the best we can.
Apart from your changes defensively and then the lineup shuffle, same pitching plan going into the weekend?
As of now, yeah, same rotation. I think we've done a pretty good job on the mound lately. Different guys have stepped up. Even that game yesterday, I thought Jake Cumming came in and got a big out, got a big strikeout, and the home run that was hit on a pitch. It's a 95-mile-an-hour fastball at the top of the strike zone to a guy that doesn't really make contact at the top of the strike zone. Like, that's baseball. But I think our process on the mound has been pretty good, and we have a lot of faith in the bullpen. So we'll roll with the same pitching plan.
He's the skipper, Jake McKinley, Nevada baseball at Washington State. 4:05 first pitch on Thursday and Friday. 12:05 first pitch on Saturday. Zach Bash will have the call of all the action. You can listen on AM 630 Fox Sports Radio here in Reno, or you can listen online, the Varsity Network app and thevarsitynetwork.com. Zach will have every pitch of the action. Nevada at Washington State for 3 in Mountain West action Thursday afternoon, Friday afternoon, and Saturday afternoon. So enjoy that, and we'll talk to you next week. Peace.